Yeah, you can't trust them. He could, and he did express some interest in the planning commission, which also has vacancies at the moment. Well, that's going to be changing, I think, with the new. I don't know exactly. Yeah, because if they're not advisory, like advisories can still be 100% online, but if they're like us, quasi judicial or like planning commission or the select board, they have to be hybrid, I believe. I don't believe a caveat for them to be able to run a fully remote meeting. Which I do like the hybrid, but it is nice to have the option to be like, hey, if we want to go entirely remote, we can. Do you want to get started, David? It's up to you. It's up to you.
Recording in progress.
And we are live.
Good evening and welcome to the June meeting of the board for the town of Richmond. Haven't signed in, please sign in. Tyler's able to send you copies of the documents that we generate, and if you qualify for that, allows you to be qualified as an interested person, which allows you to feel the decision you make.
Can't hear, David, to get a comment from MMCTV that they can't hear you. Are you having a covering up a mic and all that?
No, right there. Hello, can you hear me?
We've been having there've been some AV problems. Can you guys, Tom, can you hear us? They said they couldn't hear David.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, I just had something come through the chat.
No, but that was me. That was me telling you that. It's the three gentlemen along the table there we cannot hear. So maybe that mic that's next to you, if you could just sort of point that over in their direction, I think we'll pick them up.
I don't know. We've been having some problems with it. The select board had one whole meeting that you basically couldn't hear them. How's that, Tom? Is that better?
Can you hear me now, Tom?
Thank you.
So we're good?
Is that coming through? Okay.
All right, well, ready or not, here we come, I guess.
So the agenda today, we have a return continuation of SUB 2024-01 Bradley and Campbell Road. At 156 Woodland Lane, it's a continuation from an April 24th meeting. The applicants are seeking to amend their approved subdivision in order to relocate the location of a previously approved driveway. So who's going to come on up? We swear you both in, we swear to affirm the whole truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Thank you. Why don't you tell us what you come on?
Sure. Well, I believe you, is there a way to pull up?
Yeah, hang on a sec, just.
There we go.
I had to move the other mic over.
Yeah, just remember those, these little microphones here, the little black things.
Yeah.
You gotta keep those really close and speak right in.
No, they just weren't. I mean, they didn't move them. They just stopped picking up
They're not
anything.
picking up anything?
We'll worry about it. We'll worry
Okay.
about it later.
So I got this one.
So we're good. They're picking us
Okay.
up, so
Okay.
we'll be fine.
All right. So I think last time,
Are you here, Tom? Are you able to?
okay. Okay. Last time the proposal was to the driveway to an alternate location around the left side of the garage, remove portion of the existing garage and have an established or a proposed 30-foot right-of-way that was over the proposed driveway access down to the lot in the back. Is there a way to slide the? Great. Okay. So what what was proposed with the addition here is a privacy fence. We do have that pointed out with a leader about 134 feet long. Goes right from the corner where the red subdivision line is down to right below actually Tyler's pointer, right where the right of way meets up with the property line. So that runs to right where the driveway goes to the edge of the property line, and then we'll run right down along the property line to provide a fencing barrier between the neighbors and Bradley and Karen. On the second thing that was updated, the stormwater, Brad Washburn actually took a look at that. We were able to cut down the impervious area by quite a bit. We did leave the infiltration pond and grading as he had originally designed it, so that really didn't change all that much, and Brad did provide a summary on that. And then last but not least, the road maintenance agreement along with the right-of-way provisions was drafted by Brad and Karen's attorney.
Okay. Questions from the board?
So the distance between the garage and the fence is how much?
I think we measured it at like 15 and a half, 15.
15 and a half?
Yeah.
And I presume, does the garage open from, where does the garage, how do you enter the garage? Front with a car?
The front face, right, Brad?
The vehicles on the,
Right.
yes, right where the pointer
Okay,
is.
so they don't have to make a turn, it's just the,
Yeah.
You're not turning off the right of way, you're
okay,
going
I get
straight
it.
into.
And you said 12 to 15 feet clearance.
There's 15 feet
15,
15, okay.
to accommodate the 12-foot.
Yep. the
driveway.
12-foot wide drive.
And that is that's the minimum for the minimum for.
Right, I got
driveways
it.
as well.
So I looked at the maintenance agreement and I thought your attorney did a good job. Two questions though, or two suggestions. One, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in this agreement, but who's gonna maintain the fence?
It's going to be on our property, so
Yeah.
we would.
Okay.
Brad and Karen.
Okay, so I'm probably gonna ask that we put into our, any decision we make that the fence be maintained.
By the owners of lot 1.
Yeah, because we have approved some fences and other things, and as I drive around town, I notice that they don't get maintained that well, so I'd like to see that in there. The second question I have, or thought I have, is, your agreement's good, but there's no provision in there for how you will deal with any disputes. So it's fine when the family owns everything, but there's gonna come a day when that may or may not
An arbitration
be in
clause.
place. So an arbitration clause would be really
There is
good.
one in there.
Is it binding arbitration?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm sorry. Forget what I said. Oh, thank you.
It's in there somewhere.
I saw, I did see the
Yeah.
arbitration.
Yeah, but it's in there.
Is it in there? Okay.
Here, I'll find it. Here, item D. Therefore is agreed, item D.
Great. Forget what I said.
While we're talking about that, are you done?
Yep.
I was just wondering, it says in here that the owners of lot 2 will not interfere with the garage and the improvements that are built in the right of way. But it doesn't say anything about the owners of the garage not imposing upon the rights of the owners of lot 2. I think it might be helpful if there was something, since the garage is in the right of way, to say something about that the garage will, the owners of the improvements that are located in the right of way will not interfere with the use of the right of way by the owners of lot 2. I suppose that you could say it's implied because it's a right of way, but you said it for the one and not for the other. That's my point. And the other thing that I noticed is that, and I may be reading this incorrectly, but is the wastewater system for lot 1 on lot 2?
Correct.
Shouldn't there be some kind of
There is.
an easement for that?
There is.
You mean the easement is within the record plat?
Yes.
There's no separate easement for it?
That's the lot, the one that's there that you're pointing to, that's the actual lot two wastewater system.
Okay.
The easement there, there's actually an easement for, if you go up, there's an easement,
Back here?
nope, right below, keep coming down. There's an easement for the existing wastewater system and for the replacement area.
Okay, but isn't that for lot one? I'm confused. It says on the survey that I'm
Yeah,
looking
let me
at,
zoom in a
it
little
says
bit.
lot one wastewater system on that little square thing.
Lot.
Right here?
That
Yeah,
is lot one, but there's an easement around it.
Okay, but
Okay, I think what Roger's saying, can we see language regarding the easement? Is that what you're saying, or?
yeah, is there language regarding the easement?
To put in with the maintenance agreement, is that
Well,
what-
I'm asking.
I mean,
shouldn't-
it's gonna be in the deeds.
It's gonna be in the deeds?
For the wastewater easement, yeah, normally that would be in the deeds.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be some language about the wastewater system being,
Oh,
for lot one
absolutely.
being in lot two?
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be, once the land transfers and the deeds are written, that easement would be part of the deed for lot two.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Never seen that before.
That's normally where,
Okay,
I
could
mean,
be.
that's normally where the easement language would go, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is that
I
right?
mean, that's,
Yeah, but I think what Roger's saying is we often like to see the language
for the,
of the easement.
okay. So just standard wastewater easement language.
Probably, I mean, I want to make sure that not only are you granting an easement, but the ability to
Access.
access it and maintain it, and who's gonna pay for the costs and so forth. And
Okay.
that the land will be put back in the way. You know, I mean, this is a family thing, and I understand that, and it all works.
So do we
when
need a
it's
separate
family.
easement outside of the?
No, you can put it in the deed. I
Okay.
think we'd just like to see the language,
Okay,
what you're gonna do. And we could just put that in any decision we make, and you can
Sure.
get us that language.
And how would you
from the
want
deeds are
to,
drafted.
well, I guess my question, do you, David, if you guys have a problem with the language, what do you want me to do?
I would
in the event-
discuss it with them. We could tell
That'd be-
them what
Okay,
the issue is. We could circulate the language.
okay.
I mean, if you have certain language you'd like to, I mean,
No,
it's not,
No, it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
yeah, I've seen enough wastewater
Few
easement
of 'em.
language. Yeah. It's pretty standard.
Anything else, Roger?
No.
David? Nothing. Do we have anybody
when
in
you-
the
when you
audience?
draft up the deed,
No, let me just double
you just have
check
to put that in
here.
the
Oops.
You folks have anything to add?
No, they're all in favor.
I'm no objections.
Yeah, I don't think, let me see my staff notes, did I have? Yeah.
I
so
think we
the
covered-
fence, easement language, and as long as you guys are like maintenance agreement, as long as you guys are comfortable, that was what you guys were kind of discussing last time and what you had them
Right.
specifically continued the
and-
application for.
And they did a good job on that. What's something in your staff notes? Oh, whether the board is comfortable with, the driveway, that half the right of way is sort of taken up by, is that a problem for us?
I think it's been mitigated.
What kind of fence did we decide on? Did we do actually?
We
I think it
Yeah,
was
but
left
what's
to
gonna
the
be a private,
applicant.
solid, like a privacy,
Solid.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and we've talked
5 or 6 feet, whatever, it's gonna look better.
Stay under what you need. What's the,
6 foot, and we've been chatting about it anyway, so we'll probably get the application for that. It's pretty quick turnaround. Yeah.
okay, so do we think we need deliberative session?
I do.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the application. For, what you wanted,
A review of the easement language.
Sure.
And, that that the fence will be maintained.
David, just one point to, again, how do you want that to happen? Do you want me to send, that's my only thing is like,
Why
if you
don't-
want it to look at, because once you've issued the decision, I don't know if there's a
Right,
problem,
so-
how do we fix it?
So before we issue a decision, we'd like to see
Okay.
draft language. of
Sure.
easement.
We'll send the plat over to Brad's attorney and.
So then, well, so you would, I think you would motion into deliberative, I think, and then what you could do is pending, you could say, just send us this, and so that way we can consider it in deliberative, because once we're in deliberative, we can't take.
We're not gonna go
Additional.
into deliberative session.
Well,
So-
in order to see it, and if you have a problem with the language to change it, I think the only way you can do that is if you're in deliberative. Otherwise, if you've made the motion, I don't know how, what's the vehicle by which you would come back and review or change
I
the,
would tell
change
you
the
that they need to change the sentence and you would call them up.
if you want to do it to me,
Yeah,
okay,
no, we
I mean,
can-
however you want to do it.
Let's not get too complicated.
Okay.
No, by all
Motion to
means.
review, motion to approve easement language, and then I'll just coordinate with, who would you like me to coordinate with? The applicants, okay,
It'll be coming from Brad's attorney.
per,
Who's doing this for you?
Jason Ruitt.
Yeah, Jason. He's done one or two.
He's good.
so basically a motion to approve with reviews of easement language by myself and in consultation with that, and you just guys tell me what you're looking for, and if there's a problem, I'll be the middleman on that, that's fine. Okay.
So do we wait for an email from you with direction or?
I think,
No,
You
we just
guys-
have your attorney.
We got
draft
it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just proceed ahead. Okay,
They'll add the.
Roger, do you second that?
fence
I do.
All in favor?
Fine.
So we've approved your application and we have 45 days to issue a decision, but we'll try to do it much faster than that.
yeah,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
once he has the
you.
language, send it to me, I'll send it to David, and we'll figure out if there's any problems, and then we'll be in touch and get it ironed out.
Perfect.
We get that ironed out before I write the decision.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
And whenever you're ready for that defense or whatever, let me know. We can start working.
Thank you.
Right, it's gonna take us to. Need to do the agenda.
Have you all had a chance to look at some of the language, the planning, or some of
No,
the
I did not.
stuff the planning commission was
No.
suggesting?
I'd like to.
Yeah, so,
You really
Appreciate them
should.
Soliciting input. I just haven't had a
Yeah.
chance.
yeah, I would, so this is, I'm not sure if you guys recall. I guess we're on to other business at this point, but, 613, which had the multi-family development standard, which had that privacy section in there. That's still in there. That's up for discussion, and also the two new village designations. So I do think it would mean a lot. I've written a memo to them anyways on my thoughts on some of it, but I do
Why don't
think,
you copy us on that memo?
sure, I did it a while ago, more so on the privacy one.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was what I had the most concern with. The VRNs, they're not bad, like the residential neighborhood stuff isn't. I haven't commented on
What
them.
is VRN?
Village Residential North and Village Residential South, so it's two new designations. South is basically by the Round Church and kind of Man and Machine, Stone Corral, like that area. And then the other one is, I want to say, kind of over by like Goodwin Baker, kind of like that area. I'm not 100% sure where the boundary is on that, but it just allows like different types of uses in there, some more density, some other things. But I would encourage you guys they're gonna have a public comment, and Virginia will definitely take my comments into consideration, but I think especially if we had a quorum of the members of the board, if they had problems with particular language.
Well, it's nice
Make
they
that-
reached out to us, so it'd be.
Yeah, Keith and us and
Can't
Virginia have been
complain
really,
about it either if we don't comment
You're
on them.
absolutely true.
yeah, well, Keith and Virginia and like myself have been pretty at least I've been a little bit more bullish maybe in the past than trying to comment on things. You know, whether they take that into consideration or not, that's fine. I try and look at it from more of a administrative perspective and kind of our desire to minimize, I think, as much as possible ambiguity in the language and to try and make things as black and white as we can. I think there's a little bit of resistance to that on the PC, which I get. I want you guys to have
You've been
flexibility.
good about trying to explain to them that putting forth all these procedures is one thing, but if they're arbitrary, it makes it very difficult for us to make decisions sometimes.
Yeah, and it's hard, like those critical permit conditions, which those are in effect right now. We actually just had a new, if you guys haven't had a chance to look at it yet, the zoning regs were recently updated in May. Those are included some changes to like PUD language and stuff like that to try and get rid of that master development plan language,
Gee, that'll be too bad.
as
Are
best
they
we
in
can.
effect?
They're in effect. Yep, they've been in effect. Yep. So encourage, so it's 512. They changed quite a bit in that. They did introduce something new, which we're gonna have to wrestle with, which is critical permit conditions, which is basically, it's giving you guys a lot of latitude to basically determine things that are critical to the approval of the permit, which are gonna be much harder to change than, let's say, just you file an amendment and you get it changed. So I would encourage you guys to take a minute to read that if you guys can. We haven't had anything yet that would trigger that, but it's coming. And it's really designed, I think, around Hillview or some other things, like if there's like a forest block or something that you guys want to conserve or prohibit from being developed, you can make that a contingent on the approval of the PUD. It does give you guys a awfully broad authority on that, a little bit more than I perhaps would have liked, but it's
So what are the implications? So if it's a critical permit condition and we say project X, conserve this habitat block or whatever,
yeah.
what does that mean upon?
They can't just
amendment?
file an amendment and change it.
What
Like
can they do?
they would have, we would have to use the Stowe Highlands test, Stowe Club Highlands test to basically determine whether or not it would basically put limits on their ability to amend a previously approved decision. Basically, these are things that are kind of very difficult to change.
Just to sort of open up the whole thing. You can't just look at that.
For example, like you couldn't just like come in and tinker with it, next week or next week, and like, oh, and next month you come in and you change it again and change it again. It's kind of like, this is what it is, provided we're conserving this, we're doing this. If you want to change this is going to be a lot harder than just filing an amendment sort of thing. So
Kind of open up the whole decision again.
yeah, essentially, yeah, it's interesting. I still
Which is a
needed,
two-headed sword because that means other things can get changed.
well, and not
too.
only that, it's up to you guys to determine what is or isn't a critical permit condition, right? So, if you take a
Do they
little bit,
give us, are they giving us guidelines?
it's
Staff report.
broad. It's very broad. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Again, broader than I definitely would have liked, but that's just my own personal philosophical beliefs.
So do our
But,
decisions need to
like, this is the new one here.
identify them necessarily?
Yes, you would have to define them and
What
note
if-
them
What
in
if
the
we're
decision.
silent?
If you're silent, then it's not a critical permit
Okay,
condition.
so we don't have to be whatever the term is. For each condition, we don't need to indicate whether it is or is not.
Well, if it is a critical permit condition, it does need to be noted as such.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so it is, hang on a second. Look at 512.
Wow.
So they are critical permit conditions are, here it is. The DRB may impose any conditions felt to be necessary to ensure that a PUD or residential PUD will satisfy the PUD purpose statement and standards set forth in 5.12. Any conditions of the underlying district that are not modified in the approval, and any conditions felt to be necessary. Certain clear defined conditions which are essential to the approval will be designated as critical permit conditions. Examples of such conditions include those that would prohibit further development in the area of the PUD or conserve land through a permanent easement. So that's really broad. Now, granted, you guys would probably take a little bit, perhaps lighter touch than other people would, but I could imagine a board of people who are, how should we say, a little bit more not as willing to allow people to develop land as they might like. I think we could think of a couple people that might might be interested in that. You could really use that quite a bit, but it does give you guys that authority. So if there's something, this does give people certainty, right? Where a master development plan language really doesn't. So you could conserve stuff, not that they couldn't ever change it, but it would be a lot harder to change than just coming in and filing an amended application. So they gave you guys quite a bit of authority there.
Here's one comment.
Explicit
Zoning regulations are 130 pages long.
127, but yeah.
So it's 856
Is it really?
pages. I mean, it's too huge.
I mean, I guess, you don't have to read the whole thing every time you apply. And
I mean, well, Stowe also has,
the more detail, the better, but
Stowe also has the Stowe Island, Stowe's had some
Oh, yeah.
stuff, some stuff
Those are
going on.
litigious
This
community.
this is all PUD, right?
PUD stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So what this did is that it said that residential PUDs and PUDs that don't have subdivisions don't have to have a master development plan. And because, however, if there is a subdivision, they do. But right now, PUDs are still require review of the subdivision regs. So technically, the master development plan language is still in effect. They just have to go, now the planning commission is gonna go cut it out of the subdivision regs, so then that should be gone. I don't know when they're gonna do that, but that's in the works.
So they haven't modified the subdivision regs yet?
No, this was quite the process in and of itself. They got Jelena Court. That's been going sideways for a couple months. And then they have, they have quite a bit on their plate, to be fair. But I guess that would kind of take us into officers. We do need to elect some officers for the year.
you like Matt in absence.
Oh, Matt's new chair. Congratulations, you've been promoted.
I don't see any reason to change. I would. move
Does
it.
anybody else want to do it?
No.
I appreciate that you do
Okay.
that.
So we need motions.
Motion that we retain our existing officers.
Okay,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Patrick. Motion to keep officers.
So
Second.
why are the,
Unanimously. That takes that off the table.
why is the easement for septic in the deed and the easement for driveway is not in the deed?
But they both should be in the deed.
Well, why should either be?
Oh,
in the deed?
I see what you're saying. Well, they're gonna have to mention they should mention the easement for the driveway in the deed
What they
and
do?
reference this agreement.
What if they don't? I
Then
mean,
the-
I don't
then
care
the-
about the driveway so much because the agreement.
I'll
I'm
be
sorry.
sending lots of
I don't
emails to
mean
David.
We can do this after we get offline.
Yeah.
You keep going.
So the next one we have would be discussion and recruitment of new members to Development Review Board. So as you know, right now, we're down to 4. So we still have enough to do, we have enough we have one person wiggle room.
Nobody wanted to,
I haven't gotten any applicants, but I also haven't been,
Ian's on the planning commission.
Ian's on the planning commission now. So is Allison. Yeah, but I have an idea of somebody that we could ask, but I'm also willing to, what did you guys want to do? Did you want me to put something on Front Porch Forum saying, hey, planning commission, the DRB is looking for new
Sure.
members? Or if you guys had people that you wanted to poach on our own, do some homework. I don't know how you would like to go about
Don't
recruiting.
want any more lawyers on here, too.
Well, and
I don't know anyone.
I have somebody in mind, but I'm also trying to figure out that I don't want to be perceived as trying to stack the board or anything like that, I'm
I mean,
just trying to
No,
figure-
at this
there's
point-
there's a vetting process, right? I mean, it's got to get.
Well, they get appointed, they would apply basically,
Select board's got to.
They have to go through the select board.
and they would be
I
appointed.
think the more the merrier. I wouldn't hesitate,
Okay. Well, then I can reach, I guess,
In the
so
past, like what Duncan has sent out.
he has, well, that's how David didn't reapply. I think if we really twisted his arm, he would be an alternate, I think, if we really got in a bind.
I suggested that to him.
But I also, I get, he's like, I think if he can't do it,
I think one of those, one of the town recruiting email from First Forum posts, or
Okay.
whatever, whoever sends it, you Duncan, whoever does that, makes sense to me.
yeah, I could
I
beat
don't
the
think
bushes a
we'll
little
get
bit.
dozens.
I'm also not against like, if you know of anybody who's interested, right? We
Yeah,
could
well,
maybe try and,
I think then also if there is a specific recruiting period, then if we're just, we can tell people, hey, take a look at this versus it being
Well,
like us doing it.
I mean, we don't have to hold ourselves to it. Maybe some homework is I'll put the front porch forum post out and I'll ask somebody, and if each of you guys can think of one person and try and get them to apply, you know what I mean? See that way. I'm just trying to figure out how we get them, you know what I
Well, I
mean?
think we should put something out there. We can't find anybody unless we put it out there that we need people.
Do you want me to just take care of it, or do you want to see what I'm gonna
No,
post beforehand, or?
just Put out a short thing on front page forum that the
Okay.
DRB is looking for, one permanent member and 2 alternates.
Do that.
What about all those codes? Do we have to sign those today?
No, I just said like, has everybody read the municipal code of ethics?
Yep.
So then what we'll do is I'll bring in some copies next time.
Okay.
And we can just sign it. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to look it over. And then one other thing, I did get a chance to review. I'm not sure anybody has seen the DRB Rules and Procedures document from 2013.
I think I have one.
Did see that.
Yeah, so I just decided to the reason I read through it, I hadn't actually read through the whole thing, I think, since I had started, so I wanted to just take some
Someone
time.
changed that from an older copy because there were some things in an older copy that aren't in this one, which I was appreciative of.
Yeah, like in the big thing, let me see, deliberative
Those were
sessions.
Recusals.
Yeah, the recusals, and actually it was interesting. It looks like, David, from reading this, that you can actually make motions. You don't have to request somebody else to make the motion. You can actually make a motion. Let me see. Request.
2013.
Turn to members. All meetings shall
They
be.
took
held.
out the provision where if you want to recuse yourself, you have to leave the room and then come back in. I mean, that was stupid. And that's what Bradley was.
Whatever happened to that? Is it still pending appeal?
There was one other thing too. It's like for regular meetings F, all business shall be conducted in the same order as it appears on the agenda, except by majority consent. The chair may alter items considered and or time allotted. We don't really do that, and it's not
Did
like,
it once, only because we had put someone third
Hmm.
and they were gonna take up the bulk of the time and we wanted to get them, but
well,
pretty much.
I'm thinking with F, do we say we want to be all conducted as it appears on the agenda, except by majority consent, the chair may alter the order. Because, okay, yeah, so we do actually,
what, any update on, some of the cases that are in front of the environmental board?
nothing, yeah, Hillview is still in discovery. That should be, I think they're having a date set in October. I had to free up my calendar in case they want me to testify on
For
anything.
trial in October?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
good.
it's going, I don't think it's gonna be, doesn't sound like it's gonna be mediated. So they're gonna go,
It won't work at mediation or they're refusing to. go
I
to
think
mediation?
it's going to trial. It's not going to mediation. They're not mediating, I don't think.
Judge Durkin will not be happy about that.
Let me see, subject comments. Yeah, so there's other couple things too that we don't really do. If you look at section V7, the only reason I was thinking is if we can just to change it to reflect what we actually do. Request a closure of conflict of interest, ex parte communications, we don't do that. And review the definition of interested person. So I
We
think
do that.
as written by this, we do that, but we don't like read the definition of what an interested person is, like from 24 VSA.
No, I don't.
So again, I don't know if we necessarily need to do that, but that is technically what it says. if we want to change that or not. Or if we don't feel that strongly about it, you don't have to change it.
Okay.
It's just something to consider. I hadn't had a chance to read through it. And also for public comment, at each meeting, there shall be an opportunity for a member of the public and interested parties to speak. Speakers may participate only when recognized by the chair, which we do. Such comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, unless by majority consent of the board sets a different time limit. The board shall apply consistent time limits to all recognized speakers. We definitely don't do that.
That would have killed Hillview.
Well, we do and don't, because I cut
Yeah, you do. You
Bradley
do.
off.
But we don't have, I don't have I'm not up here with a stopwatch either.
I don't think it's necessary to deal with that at all.
So do you think we want to change it basically to just say instead of 3 minutes, there'll be, public comment, just but kind of like
a reasonable time.
at the discretion of for a reasonable duration at the chair's discretion?
That's fine.
That's good.
Anything else?
Let's see if we think of it. And again, there wasn't like a ton out here that I thought was egregious. Oh, site visits.
I'd like to continue the way you and I were talking about. I'd like to do it on a liaison basis,
Mm-hmm.
like we have. That avoids the question of too much ex parte discussion at site visits, which is very hard to avoid if you have the whole board there.
Mm.
And, then we have, it's a convened meeting if we have the whole board there.
We used to just do it with one person.
And I think that worked
I
out
thought that
well.
worked out fine.
Yeah.
Why did we stop?
We had change of zoning administrators twice, and I think it just got lost in the shuffle. But I would like to go back to
I
that.
think it's a
And-
good
Well,
idea.
we can
and
be real more
and I know
robust with
You and I
that.
talked about Danny Pete, and he wanted a meeting up there, and I don't want that.
So me and Pete Goslin met with Danny today
Oh,
and to
yeah?
kind of go over, not to put the cart ahead of the horse. So
What's he doing up there?
basically we don't want to talk
Should we
about
be
it.
discussing this?
I can go over just I'll just say what happened up there today,
Okay.
and that'll be kind of the end of it. So we figured out, I think, the process by which he's going to get before you guys. I think he's gonna go to the select board first and make some requests there. Specifically
road?
access.
What is it? What are we talking about?
So
Where?
he had a lot that was a subdivided lot, but it was a non-developed lot.
Where?
Up off of Mary, it's off of Mary Drive.
Okay.
I think up off the left.
I know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the left there.
So
right?
basically,
Behind my house.
somebody's trying to basically purchase that lot, and there's some stuff that he has to do before that can happen. And we were trying to figure out the process by which we would do it. And I did mention to him then that there was interest in us of having a liaison for this. So it sounds like, when I initially talked to you, David, it sounds like he was gonna come in here first and then go to the SB. And after talking to him, I think it's gonna make more sense process-wise for him to go the other way, to go to the select board first. So it's coming. I don't have a hard deadline for that yet. So I guess, we could decide if we want to kind of get back more in that project liaison, how we want to do it. If you want me to just reach out to you and we kind of do it, because if we're all communicating with each other, that's a warned meeting.
I do.
Okay, so Roger,
Roger's gonna be the liaison.
okay, I'll keep you posted, Roger, when it
Okay,
comes
good.
in. So, let's see, so Roger,
Well, then I'll know what's going on, I'd like to know what's.
okay, that takes care of that.
I knew he was doing it.
And you guys reviewed the code of ethics, and what was the other one we talked about? Zoning changes. Yeah, I think that more or less covers all the,
Do you have much going for?
no, it's been quiet. I mean, so for the most part, if we hadn't
July,
had,
good. I won't be here.
if we hadn't had the La Rosas, we wouldn't have had anything right now. There's been some stuff that's kind of come up, and then it's kind of gotten
It's interesting.
quiet. I haven't really,
The summer is not so.
well, this time last year, we had 5 in May, and then we had like 6 or almost, I think we might have had 6 or 7. We had quite a few actually
It's busy, so.
in June, because we almost were like gonna start dipping into that second meeting consistently. Because we do have that built in.
So right now you have nothing for July.
Yeah, as of today.
How about August?
Nothing, I don't have anything. Danny's
That may be up for.
Danny's thing is kind of floating around in the ether a little bit. I think it's got to get through the select board. Get through the select board first, and then once that's done, there's just some questions that, depending on how, if you approve something and then the select board doesn't like it, they'd have to come back to us. And then if we go the other way,
Right.
they get it approved and they're just dealing with you at that point. So it's just, so we're not ping ponging it back and forth.
Okay.
But other than that, I think we're good. Again, my advice to you guys, would be to encourage you to take the planning commission up on their public comment, whether that's written.
So
or
should we address our public comments directly from us to the planning
Yeah,
commission? Or
don't route it to me. Like, I
Okay.
just send it all to the planning commission individually. I think that's gonna have a lot more weight than it just coming from me.
Okay.
You can send it to Keith?
Keith is perfect. Yep. Keith would be great.
Great. Now that I know I could make a motion, I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Great. Thank you, guys.
What do you guys? The guy from Grace,
Greystone.
Greystone Drive, all those people are screaming about they have to